Snakes in the face, Gruins in the window. That's what we want, right? Well, folks, doing something different today. This episode is brought to you by Archon Arcana, unofficially and in the really real. So, I'm going to be using Archon Arcana to do these. I love Archon Arcana. It's a great resource. It really helps me get into information and different specifics with the game. That and Decks of KeyForge are for sure my two main resources for things that I do. But today I decided to start something new, which is doing like some top 10 videos of things that I like within KeyForge. And I thought I'd kick some off with a silly Fuzzy Gruin song and get into the top 10 artifacts that I feel are top 10. This is by no means an official top 10 with any sort of research or poll taken. This is me telling you what I think are the top 10 artifacts. So let's start off in number 10. Number 10 is going to be coming from Star Alliance, and it is, but of course, Transporter Platform. So for those of you not familiar, this has got an action ability with an Ember Pip that says return friendly creature and each upgrade attached to it to their owner's hands with the flavor text, don't be afraid. I love this like so much. It's maybe my first artifact deck, you know, where you use an artifact to do things with the deck in a most amazing way. So I love this because it came on Worlds Collide, and there was the great blasters and whatnot that existed within Star Alliance during that time, and I was able to abuse it in many ways to do a turn after turn burst until things were dealt with. And with all the playabilities that also existed within Star Alliance and still do to this day in other areas where this artifact exists, there's just some really fun things that can happen. I would say that the original iteration of this, when it came out in Worlds Collide, had the most punishing ways in which it could be used. And since then, as it's appeared, it's been more balanced to create a great way to do it. Like in Mass Mutations, I felt the balance was quite nice with this and could be used in a lot more interesting and nuanced ways than the old stick hitting way that Worlds Collide provided. So that's number 10, the Transporter Platform. Love this card. It is still one of my favorite cards in the game, full stop. Never mind that it's coming in at the top at 10. Next up, we have coming at you from Saurian. It is the Golden Spiral. It's coming in at number 9. And this card is fantastic. So the reason why I chose this and chose it at number 9 and maybe not higher up on the board is one, this card is great because regardless of combo situation or what house you're in, you can get value at this with this card anytime. It was a staple of Worlds Collide, and the fact that you can just basically house cheat with it is one of my favorite things. I'm a big fan of the house cheating. Anyone who knows me knows this. And this just allows you to house cheat or abuse something within House Saurian right off the hop. So I'm a huge fan of this. I wish we saw this more. I think this card would have been a fantastic addition to the Dark Tidings fold. And I'm hoping that we see it return maybe in Winds of Exchange, because I think this is a fantastic artifact that was just a staple of the Saurian Republic in Worlds Collide, and I do not think it's overpowered. I think it does exactly what it's supposed to in the way that it's supposed to. I think it's a very well designed card, and a lot of great things came from it. So I'm a huge fan of this. My favorite combo actually with Golden Spiral in the common sense was having a Kirby to drop the Golden Spiral and then call Saurian next turn and get to use some stuff. That was always a chef's kiss moment for me. Let's move on to number 8. Number 8, going over to Sanctum. And we're, of course, choosing none other than Proclamation 346E. And it's a law artifact that states while your opponent does not control creatures from 3 different houses, their keys cost +2. And it has the nice little flavor text of, I'm particularly fond of paragraph 2, subsection C, from Jehu the Bureaucrat. This is one of my favorite cards in AoA. I look for proc decks. When I just did the French opening, that was one of the things I was looking for, is how many proc decks existed. What ways can it be used? Proc decks with great removal stat are obviously going to be the god tier way that you play this, because if you can constantly remove your opponent's situation, you're going to be able to keep their keys at 8 the entire game, which is going to hinder their ability to move forward and win. I absolutely adore this card. It's, I think, maybe one of my favorites in the game that I don't have a ton of decks with, but I look for proc decks. I think they're fantastic and so much fun to play. So this one definitely made the list at number 8. You could not forget about Proclamation. I'm actually sad that it has not been reprinted. I see no reason not to reprint this card, especially with the artifact removal that exists now. I think this would have been perfect in both actually Mass Mutation and Dark Tidings. But again, this I feel could make a comeback in Winds of Exchange, especially with the whole trade aspect that's going to be a part of it. I feel like this is quite a nice addition to that. So hopefully we get to see that. So Proclamation 346E coming in at number 8. Number 7, we're going over to the Brabsy Wabsies, and of course there can be only one that I'm choosing here, and that is, actually no, there's a few here, but for me it's Palace Skulls, a staple since Coda, and it only just built on itself. And it says each time an enemy creature is destroyed during your turn, a friendly creature captures 1. The evolution of this throughout the game is phenomenal. I love this for Brobnar. I think this is a quintessential artifact for Brobnar, both in flavor and in being a form of Ember control. It promotes the fighting, which Brobnar does, and it does it in a way that is really productive to your game and to being able to, you know, still do those fighting things while having Ember control, potentially generating Ember through other things like a war chest. It just is such a great card, and it's a total game changer when it hits the board if you have those big bodies like Brobnar does. And then you get over to like the AoA fighting, and then even more so in Worlds Collide. It is just a next level card in Worlds Collide, because not only are you capturing Ember, but you have the introduction of Saurians and Perfectus Ludo and Imperial Scutum, where you can actually capture that Ember and then put it on a creature that you can allow to be destroyed. And once it's destroyed, all the Ember goes away. So it just really elevated this artifact to another level. I'm a huge fan of this. I honestly think we won't see it again in the upcoming set, since is Brobnar returning? I can't even remember now if Brobnar is returning. I don't think it is, but anyways, when it does return, I'm not sure we'll see it right away. I hope we do, because I think it is one of the best artifacts, full stop, and I think that it is one of the best cards that Brobnar has in the mix. Moving on to number 6, we're going to go back into the Saurian Republic, and we are going to be talking about Amphora Kaptura. Well, first off, you get 6 enhancements with this card, okay? That alone is unbelievable. Then you go into what it does, which is when resolving a bonus icon, you may choose to resolve it as a capture bonus icon instead. Basically meaning that you always have the ability to take someone, to use those pips as Ember control at any given time. And I love that. And I've seen some amazing combos with Amphora Kaptura. Like, it is an archetype deck that is game changing. I don't have any really good ones myself, but I've been privy to getting to see it in action or do coaching with someone and get to use their decks. And I just got to say that this is a very neat card. It totally captures the flavor of what Mass Mutation brought to the table with enhancements. And the fact that you're getting 2 Ember pips, 2 damage pips, and 2 draw pips alone make it such a valuable card in the game. And I just think it's really cool the way that you get to have this as just something that does stuff. Okay, I'm also reading this FFG ruling, which I did not know. But Scrivener Fabian combos with this, where because you resolve this as a capture, you actually get to steal. So that alone makes this even better than I thought. Man, this should maybe be a number 5. No, I'm just kidding. This is solidly number 6. Next up, we're going to go back into Star Alliance here. And of course, I think you know what's coming next. Good old Quixie. The Quixote Stone, both a favorite of myself and Scuzzy. We love this card because it is such a game-altering card, and I do not feel it is incredibly OP. I feel that you can understand how this card works and play around it. Certain decks will obviously be more hindered as a result, but I think it's a really fun artifact that exists within the game. I will say, though, unfortunately, that this card does present people don't like to play against it. I don't know if it's just because it's so far against what they basically do in terms of what they want their deck to do. Like, it's hindering it, and they're not enjoying the pivot they must do within the strategy they have. And I think that's why I like Quixote Stone decks, is because I understand how to play them. And so if I'm playing against them, I also understand how that works. And I don't mind being put with that challenge of having to pivot. I think it's good practice for not always being able to execute your own game plan. And that is also one of the reasons why it's on my list, because how it makes you play the game as the opponent to the player that put it on the board. But then when you have it as your own benefit, you have to think differently, play differently. And it's a lot of fun. I would actually have put it higher up on the list if it wasn't for the feels bad factor that people sometimes will not want to play against us when they're trying out certain decks. So it got bumped up, but this is definitely one of my absolute favorite artifacts that have ever been created. And I have a few decks that I love as a result of this. Moving on to number 4. We're now moving over into Logos. And this one is the auto encoder. After a card is discarded from your hand, archive the top card of your deck. The fact that this is common really did justice to how I wanted to bring this in the mix and at what level. I think the fact that you can see this card often, and the fact that it's in mass mutation, where you get some vanilla cards that are providing you with enhancements. It's just so great because you have these cards that aren't going to do much on the board other than be a body, and maybe you're not calling that house regularly, so you can just discard it and archive the top card of your deck to cycle faster and prepare for a really strong turn. Not to mention there's some cool combos like Punctuated Equilibrium and Auto Encoder, and then a whole bunch of other cards that exist within the Logos suite itself that promote discarding cards to draw cards, so you're getting that cycle even faster. I think this is one of the best commons in the game, period. It just does so much. You're never sad to see it. So Auto Encoder at number 4. All right. Going into number 3, we're going into House Dees. And we are, of course, in House Dees going over to Lash of Broken Dreams. How do you not have this on the list? And it has the action of keys cost +3 during your opponent's next turn. At first, I thought that nothing could harm an Archon, Captain Val Jericho. And then you get the mention of Val Jericho in the mix right here. So this was in Coda and AOA. This is just a staple Ember control in Dis, and it is the Hail Mary as well. Like, let's be honest, you have this out, and you know you have a moment where you can buy yourselves a couple turns. The strategy with it is really unique because you have to be careful, because sometimes you can get in a situation where you can only call Dis over and over again to stay in the game. But it provides you that Hail Mary, can I get over the line with this being used and just getting a few cards out of my hand with this. It is a true game saver, but it also has the caveat of sometimes getting you stuck in Dis just to stay in the game and not doing much else. I think that this has been a staple, and it has saved many a player from losing a game and keeping them in the mix. So Lash of Broken Dreams, absolute classic card within the scope of KeyForge, especially early on. We're going to move on to number 2 here. I'm actually not sure where this will come up, so let's see if it's in everywhere or just here. Here it is. So I'm choosing it here. Dark Ember Vault. This is my number 2, and I'm absolutely 100% biased on this because of the fact that Dark Ember Vault is my favorite archetype in the game. My favorite decks are all Dav decks. That's what I want. I want all the Dav decks. They don't even have to be like excessive. As long as there's a decent mutant count, it's my absolute favorite thing in the game. It is also my favorite in Untamed. I think that is the best location of a Dark Ember Vault. I opened my craziest deck was a Dark Ember Vault deck, which I have sold, and both regret and don't regret all at the same time. But this card is just phenomenal. The fact that you get to draw cards when you play mutants, and the fact that your mutants are bigger as a result, just provide this really nice engine within the game. And everyone knows that it's kind of a game changer when they hit the board, especially if you have a mutant sort of situation within there. So I absolutely love Dark Ember Vault, and I will always have this in my top. I could not put it at number 1 though, because there is a subjectivity to why this is the best artifact in the game to me, but it is my absolute love. My favorite decks are all Dark Ember Vault decks, hands down, no questions asked. And now we're coming in at number 1, the top artifact in the game based on my thoughts. So here is number 1, and it is Nepenthe Seed. That is right, coming from the Coda and AOA era. This is the OG of OG cards, I feel like. It has an Omni ability that says sacrifice and return a card from your discard pile to your hand. So, yeah, I feel like that says it all. The fact that no matter what house you're in, you can use this to bring back something from your discard to your hand and use it again. The flexibility and versatility that this provides, and the combo potentials, not to mention the way it changed the game and caused there to be a need for basically erratas to some cards, just tells you exactly how powerful this card was. But like I said, the fact that it gives you the diversity of choosing any card in your discard and getting it to put into your hand and play again is just so incredible that it has to be the number 1 in the situation. Some honorable mentions that were on the list but didn't quite make it was, there's going to be really 2 here. First off is Whirlpool from Dark Tidings. I think that is such a neat card that really alters the game in a fun way. That's definitely as an honorable mention. And then I think Compod, just because of what it does with being able to utilize Mars and some of those abilities where you can reveal cards and then unexhaust creatures, especially when you get the John Smiths in the mix and the Mega Mouse being able to house cheat. I just think it provides a really great opportunity. So those were really hard not to put those on the list, but I had to go for just like what I really enjoy. But those 2 are definitely very strong honorable mentions. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think of the top 10 videos. Let me know if there's any you feel like, how did I leave this off the list? Yeah, I'd love to know that. And I'm going to do some more of these top 10s in other ways in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this, everyone. And as always, may your ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.